This is something exciting. A monastery of the 7th century Scottish princess and saint has possibly been discovered in Scotland. This is on Life Science. I also could be reading other Coldingham Priory history. It was a house of Benedictine monks in southeast coast of Scotland, in the village of Coldingham in Berwickshire. It was founded by David I, King of Scotland, although his older brother and predecessor King Edgar of Scotland granted the land of Coldingham to the church back in 1098. The church was constructed by him, presented in the year 1100. But it had much earlier history. The monastery at Coldingham was founded by Saint Ebe sometime around 640 AD, although the monastery was largely destroyed by Oliver Cromwell in 1650. Some remains of the priory exist, and the choir which forms the present parish church of Coldingham is serviced by the Church of Scotland. Saint Ebe was born in 615 to the royal house of Northumbria. She was the daughter of King Ethelfrid. He was the first king of Northumbria in 604 AD. And the daughter, she and her family were forced to flee, and her family fled to Dalriata after the death of her father. And at the court of Echad Bud, she and her brothers converted to Christianity. Now we know that what kind of religion did they have before Christianity went to those areas? Well, we know from the writings of St. Patrick they were Druids. And I'm not going to go into what Druids were, but they were very unpleasant, and it was a terrible thing, what kind of rituals they had. And yes, they were Druids for most part, and she converted to Christianity. She had dealings with contemporaries of Saint Columba, and I'll try and make a video on that because he's one of my favorite saints. These are the first saints of the British Isles. So she became an abbess, and in 1635 King Oswald introduced the Columban monks from St. Columba to the island of Lindisfarne, opposite from this fortress. And Ebe was first founded the monastery there. It was a time of Saint Bede. He's one of the wonderful saints of the early British Christians, the British Isles. So around 660, Saint Ethelthrin, Queen of Ebe's nephew, took the veil as a nun, and later was to find the cathedral, and Saint Cuthbert arrived in Coldingham 1661 to instruct the community. He's another wonderful saint. His relics are uncorrupted. He has not deteriorated. The thing is that in the beginning, I don't know if it takes place now, but for hundreds of years, they had a special person who would, after his death, comb his hair. There is a certain mystery that takes place with saints. They help people continually, and this shows in their reposing body during their dormition, that their clothes are ruffled and their hair is messed up, or their shoes may be worn out. This is a sign given to us by God that the saint is working for our benefit. And that's why our Lord Jesus Christ said, be careful how you treat people, because you may have a saint or an angel before you. So be careful how you treat people. Now, that happens. That's a reality. So Ebe was in the company of fantastic saints. She had people that knew Saint Columba. She had people there, Saint Cuthbert, who arrived there to instruct the community. So Saint Ebe was the great saint of this Priory of Coldingham. And the archaeologists and even volunteer citizens unearthed what may be the monastery of Princess and Saint Ebe, who was once pagan and became the abbess, Christian and the abbess of this monastery. And they had been looking for the remains of this monastery for decades. They believe they now found a narrow circular ditch, which was likely the vallum, which was supposed to be the border surrounding her religious settlement, her convent. It was founded by Dig Ventures, which is a UK-based group led by archaeologists and supported crowdfunding. And it was announced on March 8. The citizens helped carry out the Dig Ventures project. As we said, they were also volunteers, so this is fantastic news. Vallums were not necessarily deep. They were not intimidating defensive structures like moats, for example, around the castles. They were more like a symbolic marker to show that you were entering a venerated spiritual place, like a convent or a monastery, a monastic house. So this is what Maya Pina Dacia, the head of the community at Dig Ventures, said. And just outside the boundary, the excavation team made another surprising discovery. There was a giant pile of what was animal bones, I guess, from their food. Those including cattle, horses, swine, sheep, goats, domestic fowl, and red deer. They were radiocarboned and they were dated to 664 up to 864 AD. So it was right around the time the monastery would have been up and running. And unfortunately, what happened was, as we said, this was closed. Most monasteries were closed down after the time of King Henry VIII and Oliver Cromwell as well. But the British Isles, a lot of people do not know how strong these saints were, how miraculous they were, their prayers were to heal people, to convert people. And of course, most of the people converted because of the healing miracles. And even the fact that they would pray, for example, for water to be found, and the water would be miraculous. So I'm happy about this. I have visited England many a time, but Scotland only once, around Turnberry, which is on the west side facing Ireland. So this is exciting. These buildings, as you can see, there are beautiful structures. The stonework is magnificent. The construction is magnificent. Unfortunately, a lot of them are in disrepair. As we said, they were the monastic communities were closed up at the time of Henry VIII and Oliver Cromwell, and you could see these ruins. Unfortunately, some of them have been turned into hotels or apartment houses or even discos, and it's sad to see that. Now, I appreciate this kind of architecture because, you know, when you're living, for example, in Canada or the United States, you don't have medieval structures like this. You know, the most you have things that are like 200, 300 years old, and if they're lucky enough to be standing, because even those structures the original ones were wood. So it's nice to have something that's about 1,000 years old to look at, or even older. So we appreciate that, and this is part of course, our human history, and these people were heroes. They lived in a time of great battles and feuds and frustrations and animosity between kingdoms. Terrible times as far as the religious rituals that were taking place, which were pagan, and the strife to become a Christian and to uphold and live your Christian life amid dangerous pagans. All right, the Druids. You can look up what Druids did. I'm not going to go into it here because it's too distressing. All right, so I'll leave a link below for you. This is on Live Science, and also a lot of information if you'd like to look into it more about the Reformation and the end of monasticism that took place and the history of the Priory. And today, of course, this Coldingham Priory is still the home of the local Church of Scotland, the parish church for Coldingham, which meets within the restored choir of the Priory, and they even have weddings and receptions going on there. Now, outside the church, the buildings and the ruins were in very poor state. They were badly eroded. As we know, they were about 1,000 years old. They were in risk of collapse, but with the help of Heritage Lottery Fund, the site has been rejuvenated. The ruins have been conserved, the footpaths reinstated, the wasteland transformed into community gardens with a monastic theme, and it's concentrated on plants with culinary, medicinal and aromatic properties. There are also interpretation boards explaining the hundreds of years of history contained in its walls, while a year-long education program engaged schools and community groups in many diverse activities relating to the Priory and its conservation. So the partnership consisted of Historic Scotland, Scottish Borders Council, Scottish Natural Heritage and Archaeology Scotland, and Friends of the Coldingham Priory. So this is exciting news. If anyone lives there, it would be nice to go and visit it. Thank you. If you'd like to join me on my Patreon account, you will hear content not covered by mainstream media. These riveting stories will be based on my research, and I will state my opinions and give my personal insight on diverse and controversial subjects and world events not covered by mainstream media, and not supported by YouTube guidelines. So whatever I have on my Patreon, most of those will not be on my YouTube channel. Please consider becoming a member today. More of the most significant and important videos will be on my Patreon channel. Your support helps me to continue my research and keeps this YouTube channel alive. And we depend on your support, your generous charity, because we help economically challenged families here in Athens, Greece, in Kapota, and we also help the young generation with university tuition and the community around our church. Thank you.